So I wanted to illustrate in a slightly different way, the need for, or one of the benefits of having some of our program's internal structures be object-oriented as well. We spent some time in our office hour talking about an object-oriented menu system. We spent a lot of time, and I want to see if I can do this in a fraction of the time and give you a better understanding of why we thought that it might be a good idea to do it that way. So um, what I've got here on the screen is a version 1 of our main menu where this is just whatever main menu loop that we might come up with. It's got the same structure as we showed last night. There's a title, there's a description, there's a list of menu options that gets printed out. We prompt the user to enter their input, and then we act on their input. And if it's one of our values that we support, then we process it. If not, we let them know and we continue back. If we need to break out of the loop, then we just set our keep going variable to false. And keep going is the loop variable that drives our while loop in our menu. So what happens in our program is our main program will it'll create a new main menu object and call its display, and it'll just loop forever until the user chooses to quit, and then we print out goodbye and the program ends. So it's very simple. Um, very, very simple menu structure, and we could repeat this over and over. And in fact, when we said let's add a help menu to our program, what we ended up doing was copy and pasting really our main menu class and tweaking it to make our help menu class. But you see here we might have a lot of duplicated code. You'll notice that the prompt and the delay are identical, and a lot of the logic here in the loop is identical. They both use a scanner, that's identical. So it seems like there might be some inefficiencies. And to illustrate this, I pulled up both of these files in Beyond Compare, which shows you the differences between two files. And you will see here how much is different and how much is the same. So we see the class names are different. We expect that. There's no way around that. So the constructors will have a little bit of difference as well. But as we get into the logic of our loop, we see here we've got the same display method, the same documentation comment on it because it does the same thing and it works the same way. So the only thing that's different is what we're actually printing out when we print the title and the content of what we print out for our description when we print out the description. And we've also got different menu items, so that makes sense because they're different menus. But we do the same thing to prompt the user, and then we do the same thing to get the first character of the user's input, and then we check it and we do something different based on the menu items, which we expect that. But then we finish our loop the same way, and our prompt and our delay helper methods are identical as well. So there's a lot of repeated code in our program. Wouldn't it be nice if we could find a way to create a class that could give us just the parts that need to be different between two menus? Wouldn't that be really cool? Then we could reuse the logic of our display. So one of the things that's interesting is if I wanted to make a change to how my menus worked, if I wanted to add in something between the description and the menu items, or if I needed to have a little bit of extra logic in how I prompt the user and validate what the user gives me. In this scenario with our version 1 menus, we have to go in and update every version of the menu that we have to make sure that it gets the new change that we want to do, whatever that change might be. So it'd be really cool if we could have the main logic of the menu be in one place so that if it ever needs to change, we only have to change it in one place. And then if we could just have some other kind of a class that could tell us which parts are different or give us the parts that need to be different. So we need our own title. So if we had a class that had maybe a get title method, that would be pretty cool because then we could just create a new class for the help menu content and another new class for the main menu content. And the descriptions, we'd have a get description method. And these menu options, they're different options, but they're structured the same, right? There's a character that identifies and that's what the user types. And then there's the text of the menu item. and the same over here. So we could probably formalize that structure to say maybe there's a class that gives us the key, that's the thing on the left, and the text, that's the thing on the right, for our menu options. And then we could then take maybe give ourselves a list of these. So there's a method that says get the menu items, and then those get plugged into the generic display method. That would be really cool. So because this is an object-oriented class, what we think to do is, why don't we take the common code, so this stuff that handles the scanner, this is really for the prompt, and the logic, our main loop logic, and these helper methods, and let's put them in a base class, because the base class is where the most general stuff is, the most common stuff. And then as we implement child classes from the base class, we get more specific. So what makes the child class more specific? Well, it's because it knows it's a main menu and it has this description and these options, and you handle them in these ways. And a help menu is also more specific than a general menu because it's a help menu and it's got specific content for a help menu. So if I could have a menu base class, and then I could have the different types of menus inherit everything from the main menu, all the common stuff, and then just plug in the parts that need to be different, I might end up with a class structure that looks like this. So let's look at our menu and our menu item. So if we look at menu, let's scroll back up here and let's see how this might look in a way that captures everything that our other class needs to have, but gives us the maximum reuse of all the common stuff. So we'll see here our scanner, and here's the initializer for the scanner, and that's fine. We have the constructor. It doesn't do anything, just like our other constructors don't do anything. Now here's the pluggable part. Anything that's going to be more specific to a specific menu type needs to give us a title. So in the base class, we just return null for now. And before this ends, I'll show you how we would actually really do this. Here's the description. This will give us what's different about the description for each type of menu. So in a main menu, we'll get the main menu description. In a help menu, it would return the help menu's description. And here's the list of menu items, and you'll see here that we created our menu items. They have a key and a text. So we can create a menu item here really conveniently with this constructor. And then there's a get key and a get text. We don't need to ever set the menu items after the menu items created. So we don't have any setters for the key and the text, that we just have them to get, and that's all we do. And then here's the handle menu selection. This is the part that knows how to handle each of the menu options and process whatever it is the user asks us to do. And then here's our common display, and you can see where we plug in the uncommon or the specific parts. So this is our general part, and when we subclass or when we create child classes, we move from a more general arena to a more specific arena. So the general is a generic menu, and the specific is which exact menu we're talking about. So in the main menu, the get title is going to return us the title for the main menu. And we have a little bit of extra code here that maybe because a main menu doesn't have a title, so if it returns null, then we wouldn't print anything out for the title. So we have to add a little bit more logic in our display method, our common display method, to handle the fact that different menus might have different needs. So it just makes us a little bit more flexible. So then we print out the description. And again, there's a get description hook here that allows the more specific class to tell us exactly which description it wants to print. And then here's our get menu items. It also gives the specific class an opportunity to provide exactly which menu items are pertinent to this particular specific menu. We iterate over what the class gives us as in terms of menu items, and we print them out to the screen. And then we prompt the user to enter their choice, and then we check and make sure that the choice that they entered something, and if they did, Then we pick the first character out of whatever they enter, and we pass that to this handle menu selection method. And this is the part where the specific class is going to do whatever it's supposed to do with the user's choice. And then, of course, prompt and delay are just exact copies. We're able to make them static so that any class could use them from anywhere that they needed to. So that's the common, this is the most general case, and it's not actually that useful because it doesn't have specific menu content in it. So to do that, then we go and we actually create a main menu, and we'll see our main menu, it actually extends our menu class. So it's going to inherit everything that the menu has. So it's going to inherit the display method and the prompt and the delay, and it actually inherits these other methods, the get title, the get description, the get menu items, and the handle menu selection. And it will get to override those and provide their own specific content. So let's see how this does this. So our main menu, we've got a constructor. Notice we don't have a scanner up here because the scanner is built into the parent class. So this class actually inherits everything that the parent has. It inherits the class content from its parent, from the menu. So here's our get title, where we get to provide the specific title for our main menu type. And here's our get description, where we provide the specific description for a main menu. And here's the menu options that are specific to the main menu. Here's our handler for all the code. And there is a bug here. Let's make sure we put that break in there. Oh, we don't need it. It's not a bug because the return takes care of it. And that is our main menu class. So now this main menu class, it divided the work in half with the menu. The menu provides the very common general algorithm for presenting and processing a menu. The main menu class provides only the specific things that are needed to make it a main menu. And so if we actually look at our help menu, we'll see here that the help menu class and the main menu class, they look very similar themselves. But the parts that are different in them are the parts that make them different from each other. So it's a lot more efficient in our code, and it's a lot easier to understand that I'm working on a help menu right now rather than on a main menu. So let's take a look at how this might work in the let's find our menu test. So our menu test, which was originally written to create our main menu version 1 and call it. And this works fine. You know, we create a main menu, we know the type, we call it menu, it's a main menu version, and then we just display it. It does its job, it calls the help menu when the user asks. But we could, now that we've got this generic, we could say, my main menu doesn't really care which menu it's holding on to. It just knows that it's going to be able to call its display because that's part of every menu. And then I'll get rid of version 1 and go to version 2 of our main menu. So I've created this main menu. When I create my main menu, it has everything that the menu has. So it has a display method. And all I've done in the main menu is made it more specific and given it just the specific parts that make it a main menu. And it calls the help menu, you'll see here, where we create a help menu. And this is just another general menu. As you can see, we can call it just a menu here. We call its display, and it does the things for the help menu. So hopefully this shows you the power of having having a base class that's a menu that provides everything that's common to all menus, the most general case. And then we provide subclasses that provide simply the specific parts that make them unique. I did promise that I would show you one more efficiency that we can do, and I want to show you that. We've got, you'll notice here that these methods actually do nothing, and they're just here so that the child classes can override them. In Java, we want to make use of what's called an abstract method and an abstract class. And what that is the abstract class just says, in order to be a menu or to inherit from menu up here, you are going to have to provide a get title class. And the menu itself doesn't will never provide this. So the way we make this happen is we'll call it protected abstract get title. We'll eliminate the the method body, because this one, the base class, won't have a title to return at all. And to make this work, we have to declare our class as abstract. So if it has at least one abstract method in it, then the class has to be declared abstract. And what this does is it tells the Java compiler there's no code anywhere that can create a new menu itself. It can only ever be created by creating a subclass of it, like the main menu or the help menu. So we would do this for these four methods that are intended for the specific class to provide the value. We can make them all abstract. And that means that they have to provide it. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is this useful? And the reason it becomes useful is when we write code that's intended to be kind of the fundamental framework of our application, other members of our team, other programmers, are going to call our code and they're going to use it. And so we want to enforce some rules about how they use it. So by declaring our methods and our class as abstract, we're forcing those who write the main menu to actually provide the get title, the get description, the get menu items. In fact, if I comment out the get title, I'm going to get an error in my code that says the type main menu must implement the inherited abstract method menu.getTitle, because the Java compiler knows that in menu we said if you're going to be a menu, you have to have a get title method. So I have to have it. I have to provide it. And that's good. That's good practice, because then it makes sure that our team members don't make mistakes with the code that we've written for them to use. So that's all an abstract method is. We're probably not going to learn about those in class. That's not in the first part of the book, but it is an important concept to be aware of in programming. If for those of you who go any farther with programming, you're going to have to become familiar with how frameworks work. And frameworks are simply code that's intended to have other code be based on it. And like our menu, we can build a program using our menus. So we have a menu framework. And it's like the scaffolding that builds the structure of our application, and then we put in the specific things to make it our application and make it unique to ourselves. So I hope that this was beneficial to you. Should be a lot less time to watch this video than the last one that we published. And if you've got questions, post them to the discussion board. I'm looking forward to talking to you about it. Thanks.